Welcome to Varsity. I'm Ryan Aber, joined by Scott Wright, here to talk about Week 6 of the high school football season. Scott, a lot of good games, but one we've had circled on our calendar since before the season started, Jones at Millwood Friday night.
You know, over the last couple of years, this has really developed into a pretty strong rivalry. Jones and Millwood. This year, Millwood hosts that game. They were able to go there and win a shootout at Jones last year. Now, both teams still playing really well. Millwood defense has been more impressive than I expected with all the losses that they had from a year ago. Jones offense is right where you thought they would be with all the talent that they had coming back. So I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup to watch as that Jones passing attack tries to go against a bunch of young but pretty talented defensive backs on the Millwood side.
Yeah, you mentioned Jones' passing attack. How do you see their weapons? Obviously, Michael Lowe putting up outstanding numbers for them at quarterback. But Tyler Seabolt, and they've really developed some secondary options at wide receiver. Does Millwood have the depth in the secondary to match up with those teams, guys?
I think that's the big question, because we've yet to really see a team that go and just throw on these guys a bunch and see what happens to them. You know, they've played teams like Douglas, McGinnis that do throw it some, but aren't going out there and throwing it 60 times a game. Michael Lowe is going to put the ball in the air a lot, and like you said, he's got a lot of talented receivers to go to. You know, I think that the Millwood has the talent to maybe take a guy or two away. I don't know if they can take all of those guys away. You know, they're in that kind of 4-2 scheme that gives them two really solid inside linebackers. So they're a little bit more built for a power game. So we'll see how they're able to handle it.
And then Jones, we talk about their offense so much, but their defense has really developed into a pretty physical team that can bow up and stop some people, as you have to do in this district. How does Millwood's offense match up against them?
Well, I think that'll be an area where Millwood can maybe take advantage of this. I think that even though they did lose so many of those guys, Josh Turner, Brandon Swindle, all those guys that graduated last year, they were able to fill back in with some really talented guys. They've got a really strong power running game. They've got speed on the edge, and guys like Demetric Sanders that has been playing as a quarterback and some running back, moving him around, doing a lot of different things with him. London Potts can come in and throw the ball really well. So I think that could be the turning point in the game if the Millwood offense is able to get some momentum going and go score a few points. I think that could be what swings it their way.
And Scott, I was able to see a great game between these two teams last year. Millwood wins in a game that was down to the wire. I'm going to go the same way this year. I think Millwood pulls it out late on their home field to keep control in that district. How do you see the game playing out?
I think that's about where we see this one going right now. I think that Millwood's able to grab this one late. They've got enough playmakers, though they might not have the experience. They've got enough playmakers to get it done in a close one this week. Now, another game with a lot of playmakers in it for sure. Edmond North is hosting Putnam City, one of the biggest games, probably the biggest game in 6A this week. Two top 10 teams, two of the best running games. How do you see things breaking down out there?
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic game, especially with you look at Putnam City's offense. Casey Curtis just putting up unbelievable numbers week after week after week. And then on the Edmond North side, the job that their defense is doing really should be a matchup of strength versus strength. Whoever wins that battle, I think, gets the job done this week.
You know, the Putnam City defense is a really interesting point right now. They've been without a couple of their starting linebackers. They've learned that Desmond Tilley is going to be done for the year now. Originally thought to be a sprained LCL, turned out to be a torn ACL, and so he is on the shelf for the season. Really devastating for him. Hate to see that for a kid that's working so hard to get his season back on track. But so they're working with some second string guys coming in at the linebacker spot. Eli Rushing is going to be a really crucial part to watch for them. That middle linebacker, good size, good speed. If he can kind of combat the two-headed rushing attack of Jaron Tudman and Jared Benway and keep those guys under control, it really helps out Putnam City's chances of pulling this one off.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think Edmond North is a little bit more developed offensively than PC is defensively because of some of those things that you mentioned, having some guys out. Teams have put up some pretty significant numbers against Putnam City this year. I think that's going to be the difference in pushing this over the top for Edmond North in a tight game.
While I agree with that, I do think that Edmond North's going to score some points, but I'm going to take the Pirates in this one. I think that they pull out a close one. It's going to be a shootout, not in the type that we've come accustomed to with a whole bunch of passing. A lot of running game in this one, but Casey Curtis is just he's a difference maker, and I think that he's going to do enough this week to give the Pirates a big win that they've really been looking forward to kind of put the stamp on this program since John Walford took over 3 years ago.
And that should be a great one. Let's stick with Edmond for another one that's not as high profile as these other two, but maybe just as important. Edmond Santa Fe goes on the road last week, gets a huge win at Lawton, sort of leaps themselves up into the discussion of that district race. And Mustang is a team that's really reeling a little bit right now and really needs something good to happen. They host Edmond Santa Fe Friday.
You know, at this point, we still don't know if Brandon Taylor is going to be able to go. Possibly a head injury of some sort suffered last week. We'll see if he's able to get out there on the field. They really need him. Frankie Edwards is a talented quarterback, a different style of quarterback than Brandon is. More of that dual threat guy. He's not a real big guy. Throws the ball well, but really dangerous when he takes off and runs. Maybe like a Kyle Webster or some of the guys that they've had in the past. But they really need Brandon Taylor out there to kind of hold that offense together. If he's able to play, it gives them a shot. Like you said, they need something positive to happen with this team right now. And maybe they are catching Edmond Santa Fe at the right time, coming off of a huge win.
Yeah, I think I disagree a little bit with that, just because I think Edmond Santa Fe, as big as that win was last week, they did it while not playing their best. I think they realized that they've got to make some adjustments. They turned the ball over 6 times. That defense really came through in some crucial situations, forced a turnover that turned into a touchdown the other way late in the fourth quarter that completely flipped the game around and gave them a chance to be in the game at the end. But I think Santa Fe really coming on strong right now. This is a team that was 1-9 a year ago, and now we're talking about them in the top echelon of 6A. Really been impressive. Their offense, again, has also really stepped up. Now, you look at the turnovers last week, 2 of them came on punt returns that were dropped. So not on their offense, but you see the continued evolution of Justice Hansen at quarterback and the other weapons that he has around him. Kelly, Smith, some of those other guys, Sumter especially. You just see this team coming together week after week.
Yeah, and I think that those other weapons are what's going to really, swing this game in favor of Edmond Santa Fe. I think that they'll be able to use their speed, their versatility to really frustrate the Mustang defense. That defense is coming along slowly. Still a lot of young guys, even though they were playing at last year's sophomores. Still a lot of juniors in that lineup that are still getting accustomed to 6A football and kind of coming along right now. But I think that Edmond Santa Fe pulls this one out in a close one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Edmond Santa Fe. I think it's probably going to be relatively close. I don't think it's going to be a nail-biter here. I think Santa Fe wins by a touchdown or 2. I think Mustang just doesn't quite have the athletes to match up with some of the things that Santa Fe does. Mustang has typically had problems with teams with a lot of team speed, and I think that's what Santa Fe brings and what pushed them over the edge by about 2 touchdowns.
I could see it being around that. I think Edmond Santa Fe might get off to a little bit of a slow start, and I think Mustang will be able to hang around for a little while, but I think Santa Fe wins it.
All right, Scott, thanks for joining us, and thank you. And check us out every day at newsok.com/varsity for the best high school coverage anywhere.